Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cyberpunk Red Specters, a actual play of Cyberpunk Red using the system by our Talsorian Games. We are set in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, and in general, are playing with a very overpowered set of player characters. They are all full Borg and members of MAXTAC. A little bit of a unusual premise, but I'm mostly just glad that we're finally back to playing. You know, it's been 3-4 weeks at this point. I know I took some time off myself, but I'm just really happy to be back and playing. In terms of announcements, all I really say is that hopefully this week, tech willing, I will be getting back to my normal schedule. I will also be, presumably, if all goes well, firing up either a streamed or a non-stream game on Thursday evenings. Don't know which game yet. Probably going to be Star Trek Adventures, Avatar Legends, or Fallout 2D20. But if you're interested in that sort of thing, go ahead and navigate to my Discord or to my Mastodon. I have the application link there as well if you're interested in applying for that sort of thing. But I don't think there's any other announcements, so let's have the players introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. So, Annex, why don't you go first?
All right. Hey, I'll be playing Henry Fairclough, former NCPD officer. After losing his family in a gang attack, he underwent augmentation, becoming a full Borg Dragoon Mark III, and signing on for MaxTac.
Very nice. And then Azu.
I'm Azu. I'm playing Kane, a Gemini cyborg who lives for few things other than the joy of combat.
Very nice. All right, let's run that intro video and we'll be right back. And welcome back. So since it's been a while since we played last, I'm going to do kind of a miniature recap, and then we'll sort of hash out during play if there's any confusion or what did I say, what happened, we'll figure it out together. But where we last left off was MAXTAC SPAR Team 9, Fairclough and Kane, were sent via a VTOL, aka Fast Ride, to handle a hostage situation at Biotechnica Hotel. Now, when they got there, the hotel seemed to be, or at least the upper levels of the hotel where the hostages were, seemed to be under the control of edge runners that Kane used to run with before the whole Borg thing happened. They also appeared to be armed with EMP and anti-Borg weaponry, which was very, very strange, but at the time, neither of them thought much of it. But long story short, using a series of knockout gases shoved into the HVAC unit and a series of quick takedowns, all the hostages were rescued, and aside from stressing the hell out of Trauma Team for gassing the entire building, everything went well. You know, the players, got their hands on the culprits, and they began to interrogate the culprits, and it came out that apparently this old team of Kanes was now working for Kane's mother, a Delphine Roy. And Delphine Roy had apparently gone from if you'll won't mind me saying so, Azu, had gone from a 2-bit con woman to someone capable of not only creating dead drops, but organizing something on this level to get you all involved. And there's just a lot about this situation that doesn't add up. But the penultimate, or perhaps the ultimate, sort of recognition that something is very wrong is that in one of the dead drops that was found by Fairclough, in which he got a glitter bomb, but we'll talk about that in a moment, it was discovered that Delphine Roy was not only threatening to contaminate the Biotechnical Flats greenhouses, but she wanted specifically Kane to go steal data from Biotechnica for some reason. And that's sort of where we left off last time, with you all getting this information from the interrogation, getting this information from the dead drop, and then we sort of decided to take a break, give you guys some time to think. So where we resume the session proper today is the morning after. You've had time to go home, sleep, get some rest, etc., etc. And we're going to start with Kane, you walking into the reception area of the MAXTAC HQ. And the receptionist is I would say an android-looking individual, sort of like what we see of the concierge that is at, what is that Arasaka hotel that you go to in 2077? I'm blanking on the name.
So am I.
Is it? Trying to think. Anyway, that the part of the heist that you go to the hotel for that's owned by Arasaka.
Konpeki Plaza.
That's what it is. Yeah. Um, it's just one of those things where instead of looking human, a significant effort has gone to make this receptionist look not human. But as you walk in, Kane, they sort of look up and go, "Oh, Kane, hello, good morning. If you're looking for Fairclough, he's in with Tubes right now. He's getting checked out, getting a once-over."
Thank you. And without further ado, she'll just march straight over to the. Is this like a repair bay or a med bay?
A little of both.
A little of both. All right. She'll head over to Tube's uh, office or workplace or whatever,
All right.
and just poke her head in.
Okay. So what we see now is kind of a mixture between a Ripper Dock and a machine shop where Fairclough, you're currently seated or maybe more reclined on a industrial strength chair that can handle your weight. But we also
The
see...
workbench.
Yeah, there you go, like a workbench. We do actually see a workbench or two. In fact, we see probably 3 workbenches that are just covered in tools, in bits of armaments, not just like Borg parts, but like gun parts and armor parts. There's also hanging from the ceiling, there's a number of replacement limbs. There's even, if you look carefully in like a corner, in like a glass case on one of the cabinets, there's a Sandevistan. If you ever wanted one, it's just kind of sitting there.
Just lying there? Sweet.
Yeah, just kind of sitting there. But we also see Tubes. And Tubes, I don't think we've seen him on screen before. I might be misremembering. But Tubes kind of has a rebreather gas mask built into his face. So just kind of imagine a Darth Vader feel to his voice, which I tried to do as tech before the stream, but stream was having issues picking it up. So unfortunately, no fancy voice effects for this session. So just use your imagination. But as you poke your head in, Kane, Tubes just kind of looks up from what he's doing and says, "Ah, well, good thing that you're here, Kane. Just finishing up with your partner." And Tubes looks back at you, Fairclough, and says, "All right, now, you look good. I just want to inform you of 2 things. First, I got about 99% of the glitter out of your system, but there's bound to be some spare particulate. It's glitter. It gets fucking everywhere. I did my best. Second thing, do you want to keep the sticker on the back or no?"
With what sticker?
Kane averts her eyes and whistles innocently.
And Tubes looks between the two of you and says, "Let me get a mirror," and gets 2 mirrors so that, he can hold one in front of your face and then one behind your head. And he kind of angles it so you can see the sticker.
When did that get there?
And Tubes,
How long?
Tubes just looks at Kane.
That cyber psycho must have snuck it on during that brawl. Clever.
Bullshit. They didn't even lay a hand on me. What? How did? He's gonna reach back and try and and you're just gonna hear this awful like metal scraping sound as he's trying to as he just tries to peel it off of his plate.
What was the sticker again? I've totally forgotten.
That actually was going to be my question. I didn't note down what the sticker was. We just knew it was a sticker.
It was a smiley face.
There we go. There we go.
I gotcha.
All right, I'm gonna make a contortionist roll to see how well he gets the sticker.
All right, let's see that contortionist roll.
15.
Looks like a 15.
Not good
Very
enough?
nice. Yeah, I'd say with a 15 you can rip it off, but roll me a D10, just a flat D10.
Okay, so 9.
A 9? 9 is sufficient enough that you are able to get it out without doing that terrible thing where you tear half of it off and leave paper behind. No, you actually get all of it off, thankfully. Apparently your board frame is Teflon coated, apparently.
Nice.
All right, yeah, he peels it off the back of his head and then he kind of holds it in front of his hands and he's doing that thing where he's trying to get it off his fingers, but it won't come off. So he tries to peel off with his other hand and it's stuck on that one.
Kane's gonna actually walk in. Does Tubes have a container where he's been putting all the glitter he's scrounged out of Fairclough's frame?
There is an HVAC, or not an HVAC, what is it called? It's a wet dry vacuum. A shop vac, that's what it's called. There is a shop vac that is nearby.
I'm gonna look at it. Just to be paranoid. Tubes, would you I take it you've come into contact with some of that glitter. You don't assume it's toxic or no EM signatures or anything strange coming off of it, just normal glitter.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the first thing I checked was whether or not it was EM interfering at all. And no, as far as I can tell, it's normal glitter. But I will say this, it is rather strange that, and you kind of see he's hesitating. The glitter of this, it's going to sound weird, but glitter has quality levels to it. Like, there's a difference between just a bunch of like ripped up paper and like microplastics. This is the good glitter, like the kind of glitter you'd see it like in exec's party glitter.
I'm going to take your word for that.
Good to know, glitter expert.
I I don't know if I want to be the expert of that, but I guess I can't really take back what I've said now. So
So, higher quality, likely more expensive. Hmm. Fairclough, I've slept on it a bit, and I don't know if you also have had a strange feeling about this case, but I think we might want to bring in our captives again for a second round of questioning.
You know, you're right about that, Kane. I've got the same sense that we're missing a whole lot of details here.
Mm-hmm.
We should start with the Netrunner, I think.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll have to clear a few things with Alejandro again, but we haven't talked with Stepan. We should make sure that their stories line up. But before that, I need to ask Drake something. Are you two finished here, or are you going to need some more time?
unless Fairclough wants me to take away his bowling souls, I think he's good to go.
They'll be fine. I don't need them removed. I should be good to go. And he kind of during this little scene here, he's actually had these little sensory booms out, which are kind of like these, almost kind of like antennas.
Bunny ears.
They're much thinner, but yeah, they spring out and from his like the top of his forehead, and yeah, he sits up and they kind of like shoot back into his frame.
I don't know what it was, but did either of you read or see Animorphs back in the day? Do you remember that
way
that
back,
series?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I had a vision of the Andalites in their eyes, where they were
Oh
on
right,
stalks
yeah.
on the
Those
head.
are the purple ones. Like the
Purple and blue,
centaurs?
if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah. Anyway, sounds like you guys are headed to Drake's office. So when you find Drake, she is indeed in her office, and she kind of looks at the two of you as you walk in and says, Kane, Fairclough, what can I do you for?
Quick question, ELH.
Yes.
She's our captain. What's like the typical, like, do we call her captain? Do we call her Drake? Does she have a last name?
I would say probably Captain or Drake is fine. It's very informal here at MAXTAC. It's like the rank structure isn't like super enforced.
Okay, cool. So she's gonna clear her throat. Good morning, Captain. We had two quick questions for you. First, would you be able to pull those captives we took in yesterday for a second round of questioning?
Easily done. She, her eyes flash blue and says, I've got him in interrogation rooms 1 and 2.
Thank you. Secondly, do you know who arranged for our VTOL to arrive to this particular crime scene, the hostage situation in particular? Who ensured that we were the ones responding to that call and not another team? And not SWAT, for instance?
Well, I can say that there wasn't really a special note for you all to head to there. You were just the team that was available at the time, but let me access those logs. And she actually goes to her desktop computer and types a few things in. Well, I do recognize my own approval to deploy a SPAR team. It looks like I've got a report here from Jerry Falter. He's a police commissioner at regular SWAT. He made the request that apparently SWAT was unable to get to the location and that there was a suspected cyber psycho on the case. So that's why MAXTAC was cleared and why you guys were airlifted at the time.
So I suppose we should share this with you, but it seems that the hostage situation was a smokescreen and was actually intended to draw my attention specifically. So the fact that our team was called to this job seems extremely coincidental, which it may have been, but it feels off.
Faircloud kind of like has just kind of been standing in like the doorway, kind of like peeking. And he's at the mention of Jerry Falter's name, he actually steps through fully, and kind of like crosses his arms and says, "Jerry Falter, I used to work under him. He said they reported a cyber psycho, but that didn't seem to be the case when we got there."
Yes, I've seen your reports that you've submitted this far, and I would agree that really normal SWAT should have been able to handle what was there. But, I mean, here, and her eyes flash blue, and you all both receive the report of Falter requesting MAXTAC instead of regular SWAT. Mm-hmm. And yeah, without any rules required, you see that the paperwork is solid. There is plausible cause for there being a cyber psycho. There's probable cause for MAXTAC being deployed. It's just that for whatever reason, there wasn't a cyber psycho when you got there. So kind of might be best to think of it as a false positive in a way.
Any ideas, Faircloud?
Well, I mean, again, they didn't like you said, Kane. They were really gunning on the fact that we'd show up there, and it's awfully convenient that we just so happen to get called in instead of the regular SWAT.
Yeah, but this checks out. This might just have to be something we put a pin in until we get more information.
Yeah, you're right about that. Should we be off to the interrogation rooms, or?
I think so. Thank you, Drake.
No, of course. Let me know how everything goes. Last thing I want to report to the Hammerman himself is that we've got a biocontaminant at Biotechnica Flats. That would not look good in my report.
She gives a nod and heads up the room.
All right. So between the two of you, which interrogation do you want to handle first? Do you want to handle Alejandro's reinterrogation or Stefan's?
Let me see. Just to check, I don't know if we'd know this OSC. Have they been in contact or have they been kept separate?
They've been kept separate for the time being.
Good. All right. Any suggestions, Faircloud?
Well, like you said, we should probably go over and talk to the Netrunner first and see what they say lines up with what our Alejandro was saying.
Right.
And also, we need to, after these are done here, we need to get in contact with Biotechnica, ask them, what went on in their systems there, if our culprit here did anything more than what he's about to tell us.
In fact, maybe we should get that first. That way, if we catch him in a lie, we can call him out on it.
Maybe Mrs. Gray can handle that?
Yes. And let's track down Miss Gray.
Gray is easy enough to find. She's in her office, and once you tell her what your plan is, she'll eagerly sit in on the other side of the interrogation screen and run data for you.
Right. And before we go into the meeting, would you be able to confirm with Biotechnica if the hackers at the hotel managed to retrieve if they were scrubbing for anything, if they retrieved or deleted any information off the servers?
Oh, yes, right. I actually do have a report here, and she starts rummaging through the papers on her desk, and she finally says, here it is. Well, apparently they were looking at, biographical data, things like age, weight, presenting sex, actual sex, things that you would find in, like, a personnel report, in the HR report. Nothing about their performance, nothing about, anything besides biographical and identifying information, really.
Biographical data on clients, employees?
Looks like just employees for some reason.
Could this could this be a way that they're planning on compromising the food production?
Well, and this is just the thought. I don't really have anything to back this up, but to get the information like this, most of this you could find out through a private investigator or just a good tail work. You could find out most of this, but to steal data on this level, they're planning to do something with it. Maybe an impersonation, or maybe a false identity on the terminals. I don't know. There's a whole slew of things that this could be used for.
If this data could be retrieved by your standard private investigator, what would be the advantage of staging a high-profile heist like this, Miss Gray? Would there be any additional information on these servers that normal means wouldn't be able to access?
That's the other funny.
Gonna kind of like perk up and say, time. Time. That's a reason.
Certainly would be faster.
I do suppose that it would be faster to get it yourself, but Biotechnica hasn't told us what was on those servers, but they did imply that the data that was on there was not compromised, but could be very compromising, if that makes sense. So the fact that
they don't want to tell us.
Well, yes, they don't want to tell us anything they don't have to, but the fact that there was quote-unquote juicy data and these edge runners didn't go for it, that's just another red flag in a series of red flags.
Okay, so just a little OOC recap. The hackers were looking into employees' biographical data, but that biographical data could have been extracted with less boisterous, noisy means. And
extremely less, yes.
Yes, and they didn't go for like extremely compromising data. They just went for like, again, this easy access stuff.
Yeah, the biographical data that anyone could access from HR.
Okay. This could have been another smokescreen.
Another?
If their intention was just to get our attention, then the data they stole from the server doesn't really matter so long as we respond to it. So nothing we've found so far directly compromises the story we've been told. We'll have to see if anything comes out during the interview. Any thoughts, Fairclough?
No.
I suppose we better get to it then. Are you ready to accompany us, Miss Gray?
Of course, lead the way.
All right, so let's. She'll when she's about to head into the interrogation room with Stepan, she'll give a Fairclough kind of like a "you're with me" gesture. Cram him into that tiny little room.
Yeah. So you again cram into
Make
the
him
world's
feel
most. Yeah, you cram into the world's most stereotypical interrogation room once more. And again, just for those who may have missed it last time, it is literally a table, 2 chairs, stereotypical one-way mirror, a door out, cameras in the corners, and that's it. It is just barren metal on all sides. But Stefan is currently seated in the other side of the table. And as you walk in, he sees you enter in first, Kane, and he smiles, but then he sees Fairclough squeeze in, and his smile just goes gone in an instant. And I'm trying to remember, what was Stefan's nationality? Because I think I was going to do an accent for him, but I didn't at the time.
I think.
Was he Russian?
Maybe. Litvak.
Let's just make him Slavic. That way we cover our bases.
Oh, Lithuanian.
Okay, that's... It's probably the wrong accent, but I'm going to do Slavic because that's just easy for me to do.
Yeah, at this point, Night City culture is so mishmashed that...
All right, so as you two enter, Stefan looks up and goes, "Oh, Kane, I was perhaps expecting that you wanted to follow up on something, but is this your partner? He is a very large individual."
He sure is. Fairclough, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Huh? What is there to introduce? He kind of just like looks at Kane.
Well, hopefully we won't have to introduce him to your fists, but we'll see.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't worry about me. You have your conversation here with Kane, and Fairclough is gonna walk around and just stand right behind Stefan. Have your conversation. Don't worry. He's just gonna basically just loom over him from behind, out of his sight.
Okay, I do not know what I did to earn ire of Big Turgoon, but okay. What can I be helping you with, Kane? Do you need more information? Why am I back here?
Yeah, I wanted to clear things with you because I don't think we ever had our one-on-one chat. I talked to Alejandro's about a few things, and they didn't all line up. So I'd like to double check with you.
Okay,
that should be fine, right?
I'd be happy to answer. But what do you need?
What was your team doing in that hotel?
Well, job was to get in and get data from server, and if possible, take some hostages along the way. I believe our employer, and you note that when he says employer, it's one of those things where he stopped himself from saying something else, so there's that momentary pause. Our employer wanted us to potentially have an exit plan if data theft was not, if it went very loud.
And what was this exit plan?
Well, exit plan was to use hostages as cover and more or less escape out into Badlands and lie low for a week or two until Night City PD got bored, and then come back into the city, deliver data, get pay grade, and then we'd be done.
What data were you told to extract?
Well, it was supposed to be biographical data, which I found odd at time, but with amount of money behind it, it was not my place to be questioning.
Bulk data or specific data?
It was bulk data. Again, very odd that it was not specific.
Are we talking the entire Biotechnica employee database, or are we talking specific to this building, something else?
Well, technically, that the hotel records contained records on every Biotechnica individual in Night City, but overseas, no data of such merit. Also, is he leaning over more? I feel like he's leaning over more.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, not worrying about it.
Faircloud kind of like straightens back up a little bit. after noticing he was like a little uncomfortably close.
Who is your employer?
I'm sure Alejandro was telling you this, but it was Delphine Roy.
Right, Delphine Roy. And did you meet Delphine Roy in person?
No, Alejandro was coming to me and said that he required a netrunner for a job, and that the job had come through a dead drop, and that it paid very, very well.
So you never saw Delphine, only Alejandro did? Or at least only
I'm not
Alejandro was in
100% sure on.
contact?
I know I personally never saw Delphine Roy, but Alejandro might have. I don't know.
What happened to the group, our group, in the immediate aftermath of our little heist gone wrong?
Well, long story short, we sort of did our best to flee the massacre that you incurred, and then we tried to keep our heads down until it was possible for us to be coming back up without being shot in face, or not being shot in face as much as you normally would in Nights. You know what I'm trying to say. But we mostly broke up after that. It was about a year and a half before we got back together as a team.
And was Whittling killed during your absence, or while you were together still?
During the absence, unfortunately. And then you know about the other partner who got a new fancy car and fucked off, so...
Did he sell his old car?
I am not sure. If he didn't sell it, then I suppose it's still sitting in his garage.
He loved that car, didn't he?
As far as I'm aware, yes, the car was his life.
You know
Now-
where that garage... Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, Fairclough, since you're looming behind him, can you give me a... what would we call this? A human perception, please? Which I know is totally a power stat for you.
I'm actually also
Faircloud is
good
very
at...
good with people.
I'm good at interrogation. Would this be something I could roll, or is this specific to Faircloud's
This is going to be specific to
point of view?
Fairclough for the time being, based on his unique position in the room.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Do we have our luck back at this point?
You would have your luck back, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
every session your luck refreshes.
I think I'm gonna spend. Oh man, this could be critical. I don't want to use all my luck on it. I'm gonna spend. I don't know the DV also. That's fine. I'm just gonna go with. I'll go with 2.
Okay.
9.
So that is a
Ouch.
total of 11. So I would say with an 11, you're going to notice that, or at least your eyes are drawn to the back of Stefan's neck, and just something feels off about the coloring of his neck. Like, it's just like a shade darker than the rest of his skin. But that's all I can give you with an 11.
But I've noticed, is he trying to cover this up or hide it, or does he
he,
maybe like adjust his coat to kind of like cover it?
I would say, yeah, maybe now that you mentioned it, is that every once in a while he'll like fluff the collar of his jacket to make it a little bit more, invisible. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is something he is being a little conscious of, yes.
Have we checked these guys for cyberware?
You have, and in fact, Stefan is supposedly, aside from obviously the data link that all people in Night City seem to have, there's not much else that he has. Like, he doesn't have like a built-in cyber deck, he doesn't have like a fake arm or anything, and yeah, he's pretty still biological to him.
And is that from like a scan we did, or is that based on our records of him?
Both.
Okay, so they match up. Where's his garage?
And he lists off a location in Night City that if it becomes relevant, I'll give you a specific location. But he
Sounds
gives
good.
you the location.
Okay, sounds good. Does he part with that information pretty, like, he's been pretty forward about all this. Has there been any point where he's like, might be taking a little bit longer to answer than the other questions?
Aside from that one pause when it came to mentioning the employer at the beginning, no, there hasn't been any pause.
Gotcha. You took this job without the security of a fixer. Why?
Well, with the amount of money we were being offered, I didn't question. Besides, it was supposed to be simple job, simple biographical data obtaining, and then we get in, like get out.
And you never once thought that all this money for such a simple job without a fixer was suspicious.
Fairclough, you were going to do something real quick?
Yeah, Fairclough is going to lean in, kind of, and come around his left shoulder and put a hand on the desk and look closely at him. He's pretty close to his face and say, "Too good to be true, don't you think?"
I mean, maybe was little suspicious, yes, but I mean, we're edge runners. We live on the edge. We literally live from job to job. I have sea container to maintain. I have puppy that is, I have puppy that someone's going to need to take care of now. This is very distressing.
And you didn't have a contingency plan for if you got caught or if you died or anything. And Fairclaugh's gonna like retreat back, standing up behind him and just say, "Kane, I thought your friends would be smarter than this."
PLH, does
Yes.
this, when she was part of this Edgerunner crew, did they play it risky like this? Or were they did they tend to like, okay, we'll go through a fixer, make sure everything's all above board, make sure this isn't too good, like, how gullible was this crew?
Let's make it a roll. Let's let the dice decide.
Sure.
Why don't you give me a deduction here?
Okay.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, Fairclough is gonna keep on speaking and say like, how long have you been? Did you even run with these people? I can't imagine they survived long doing jobs on this much of a whim,
Well,
getting actual pay.
we always went through Alejandro. Alejandro never led us long, except for that one time when someone got killed, and then the whole thing with Kane. But so with the 12 Kane, you're gonna know that the group is pretty much what Stefan's telling you, in that Alejandro always handled the jobs, always handled the money. Anything that came in came through Alejandro. And overall, Alejandro just kind of took whatever job he could get for the group. It wasn't so much a always go through a fixer. It wasn't much a, taking every job. But it was definitely less formal, less, I guess you would call it smart in the setting for them to take that kind of a job.
Okay. She'll look up at Fairclough. Fairclough, you know me. Do you really think I would stick with the safest team, or the team that tends to make a lot of noise on accident?
Quite frankly, I mean, if I'm honest, I don't know you that well. We've only been on 2 operations before.
They went pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah, you're lucky you had me around, though.
Yes, your maneuver with the sleeping gas was very clever. Especially with the dosage that you decided on. I was very impressed.
And Faircow is going to actually reach forward and kind of he grabbed at the back of Stefan's collar and he's going to say, "Hold still. What are you trying to hide here?"
Well, nothing.
Kind of pull
nothing
the
at
collar
all.
of his neck down.
Yeah, you pull the collar down, and yeah, there is a definite discoloration between the back of his neck and this patch of skin. Like, almost imagine like 3 or 4 shades darker than what he already has.
Does it seem like natural skin, just of a different color, or does it seem like necrotic or anything?
Not necrotic, but it does look like normal skin.
Would Kane see Fairclough kind of just bending Stefan?
Yeah,
over
no.
and squinting at his-
Fairclow's just got his hand like he's even pushing the guy a little bit forward, and he's kind of like he's a pretty aggressively dragging down, has the guy's collar drugged down a little bit, and his optics really close.
And anything?
That's to be figured out. And Fairclow's optic kind of lights up, the little red light, and looks like it's scanning. And he's I'm going to use my tele-optics to get a fine, or my micro-optics, I should say, to get a fine look at the tissue here.
Okay. So, no roll required yet, but what I will tell you base is that there does appear to be some form of a data jack hidden beneath this layer of skin. Almost like what we see in Lucy on Edge Runners, small spoiler, but it's kind of that thing where if you didn't know to look for it, you would have completely missed this data link.
So is this like another separate data link from the usual one? Or
Yes.
is this okay.
Yeah, so the usual data link goes into the side of the neck. This one is meant for like hardcore net runners that like deep dive into systems.
Which one was he using in the mainframe?
He was actually going through his cyber deck, so he was connected via his wrist cable.
Gotcha. Right, Fairclough, you see this, so take it away.
Fairclough is going to speak up over the radio and just say, are you seeing this? And he's going to feed the video from his optics to Mrs. Gray's terminal.
Yes, I do see that. I'm gonna patch in Tubes real quick, and Tube gets on the line. Tubes, how did we miss this? Oh hell, I don't know how the hell we missed that. That should have been really obvious. In fact, give me a moment, and you hear rustling. And in your mind's eye, both Kane and Fairclough, you get an image of or at least the images that were taken during the scanning and the processing process. That's fun. Where pictures and scans were taken of Stefan and Alejandro and the others. When the processing happened, the back of Stefan's neck was perfectly fine. It wasn't discolored. It wasn't standing out at all. It literally just looked like the normal part of his neck.
So, unless it was really well hidden, it's almost like this has either been installed recently or this isn't the same person that was scammed.
Well, I suppose there's a lot of possibilities here, but that would be the two easy ones, yeah.
Have we been recording him his whole time in the cell?
Yeah, well, I can at least confirm that I didn't do it and no Ripper Doc went in his cell, so it's not something that got installed recently.
Who was was it Hell? Yes, Hell was our netrunner. She'll get in touch with Hell.
Just all of SPAR Team 9. Just get everybody on the call.
Just get in the group chat here.
Yeah. Yo.
Hell, could you go over the footage of Stefan's stay in his cell and detect if there's been any tampering or anything?
One moment. Well, unless you count the fact that he sat on the John about 5 times during the night, no tampering in that cell.
So odds are pretty good that he wasn't swapped out. And he didn't have this installed during his stay, which means that it was just very well concealed. Does that seem right, Fairclough?
Yeah.
Missing something?
What's this kind of agitation look like to you tubes? Does it look like it was human nails, like he was scratching at it? What do you think caused this discoloration?
If anything, it looks like that the patch of skin was... I mean, it's artificial, that much is clear, but maybe it needs like regular injections to look normal. That would be my guess anyway. I'd have to get a look at it hands-on to be sure. But my thought, it's probably been long enough that whatever he was injecting to make it look real has worn off at this point.
This is for interfacing with the deep net. Is there any chance he's storing anything on it? Any data? Or is this a read-only sort of port?
Well, technically, any netrunner could come back through that cable. The issue is more, would I run into any black ice, says Hell. I mean, I have no idea what kind of ice he's got set up in his own brain. I mean, if you want me to dive in, we can get him set up, but there's no guarantee that I wouldn't get fried or that he wouldn't get fried.
Well, let's keep up this approach and see if we can get him to open up about it without needing to risk any fried netrunners. She'll clear her throat. Alright, Stefan. Well, it seems you've gotten a new piece of cyberware that you never told me about.
Fairclough will release him and let him sit up now.
Yeah, he sits up. Well, you know, I'm Netrunner. I have to upgrade somehow.
You were very keen on keeping this hidden from us, weren't you?
Well, yes, I did not want you jacking into my brain and frying it.
Right. Do you have anything you haven't told us? I mean, I'd hate to make our netrunner delve anywhere they shouldn't.
Go ahead and give me an interrogation here. And if you want to assist Fairclough with your own interrogation, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, if I
Okay.
mean, I can't guarantee.
Kane doesn't need it. That's a 27.
Doesn't need it. Yeah, I
Well,
can't
throw one in
guarantee.
just to see.
Yeah, just throw it in anyway. Let's see.
Can't guarantee you'll come out of it the same person if we do end up having to scrub your bane for any deets you've been hiding from us.
So it looks like good cop's working more than bad cop is, but yeah. Stefan just kind of blinks and goes, I do not know how to answer a question. Can you be more specific, maybe?
Stepan, you're holding
Don't
out on
make us scrub your brain for the what she was saying. What were you saying? He just kind of stopped speaking.
You're holding out on us, Stepan. You don't want to do that. It's game over. You're with us. So eventually, we'll get all the information we need off you. It's your choice whether we do it the easy way, which is here in this room, or we do it the hard way, which is you strapped into a chair as someone goes through your brain.
With a roll of a 27, you can see that he capitulates to that very quickly and says, all right. What was questioned again? I'll try to answer.
You're holding out on us, so what haven't you told us?
Again, there's a lot of things I haven't told you. You give me like specific thing to focus on first.
This isn't characteristic of him to get this implant, right? When did you get it?
I got it about, would have been out of character. I might have the timeline wrong, but they would have gotten it year and a half after the Kane incident. So after Kane got bored. Which should also match up with it. I would say it should also match up to the time that the team got back together.
Did you get it at the behest of your new employer?
I did get it because Alejandro did request it, yes.
How did he convince you?
Money. Lots of money.
Was it paid for in advance, or do you have an IOU
Yes, I
now?
just showed up to Ripper Dock, confirmed who I was, and next thing I know, I wake up on table and I have slot in back of neck.
What were you told you would need to use it for?
Well, net running in general, really. Nothing like super spooky or anything. It was just net running stuff.
Just net running stuff? And what, your normal Cyberdeck and Link didn't suffice?
Well, the funny thing about
That's
Cyberdeck...
some serious hardware there.
I mean, yes, but, it's one thing to carry Cyberdeck around and do hack on job. But if you are not on job and you need to take time and caution, you need Link like this to not fry yourself.
I think, ELH, you mentioned that
Yes.
this kind of cyberware is for, like, deep dives, right?
Mm-hmm, that is correct.
Refresh my memory. What's the difference between, like, a deep dive and your standard hacking?
Yeah, so no, it's a fair question. So out of character, especially when it comes to Cyberpunk Red, usually what happens is you carry around a cyberdeck, which is, I always imagine it like a glorified like electronic piano that you just carry around. But basically you have a cyberdeck, you either connect wirelessly up to like 8 meters, or you actually physically wire the deck into the machine you're trying to hack. And then you hack on site. Whereas the deep dive is when we start to see the stereotypical like ice bath or the support chairs which regulate body temperature. That's sort of the big difference there. Where one is done on location, the other is done usually within a netrunner's sanctum.
So this cyberware would have allowed him theoretically to hack from a much greater distance than the usual one?
Correct. And
Okay.
potentially go deeper into systems than he would normally be able to.
Mm-hmm. Did that so that dead drop we got that gave us like the instructions on the information we needed to Kane's alleged mother wanted us to retrieve, were we told we would be working with this team?
No, you were just told to retrieve it.
Okay. So he doesn't seem to know why specifically he was given it, but we can assume that he was either intended to hack remotely or hack deeper into some sort of system. Let's clear one thing up. You weren't meant to do anything funny here, were you?
At MAXTAC? No.
And Fairclaw's gonna lean in like, can we be too sure? But like halfway through what he's saying, one of his sensory booms just kind of shoots out from his head and actually kind of like pokes Stefan in the head.
Oh, why are you stabbing me? I did not do anything wrong. I'm answering questions.
Oh, quit crying! It's just a malfunction. I thought those were checked out. Damn it, Tubes. Make me look like a joke here. He's gonna go back to with his arms crossed.
Let's see. And I take it you had those EMP weapons because you were told to expect MAXTAC, right?
I was not told MAXTAC, but I was told Borg would be coming, yes.
Borg would be coming. Just to clarify, ELH, is
Yes.
MaxTac, does each team have full Borgs, or do normal MaxTac teams just maybe have Borged up individuals, but not full Borgs?
I would say that it kind of varies between the SPAR teams. Some SPAR teams, like yourselves, are full Borg. Right. Others are mixed, and some even are just really, really good police officers
Gotcha.
that are, for the most part, still flesh and blood. Like, they're not full Borg.
Mm-hmm.
They just have some of the basic cyberware essentials.
Exactly.
Were you expecting us in particular, or me in particular?
No, not really. That would have been an Alejandro thing. I just was told to hack systems, so I did.
She'll look over at Fairclough and open up a radio comm. Well, I think we've cleared what we can with Stepan. I think Alejandro knew a little bit more than he was letting on. Do you have anything else you think we should ask while we have Stepan here?
I can't think of anything in specific, but he did say he was keeping a lot of stuff from us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, in that case. And then she'll break the radio comm and look at Stepan. I think we're done here. I'll spare you from any deep dives in your brain, but we'll keep you around for a few days just in case we need to verify anything.
All right, well, free meal, free boarding, I'm not paying for it, so,
Just give them
Yeah,
a little...
so long as you play nice, we'll play nice. And he says that trying to be intimidating, but a little bit of a glitter kind of like falls out of his cyber optic.
So
Kane will clear her throat to draw attention from it. Are you gonna say something?
all I was going to say is that as you all start to wrap up and pull out of the interrogation room, you actually get a bulletin from Miss Gray, and the note from her says, I don't know if you all are tuned in to the news feeds right now, but you might want to look at Channel 9.
She'll leave the room and just pull it up on her Chiron.
So no matter how you pull it up, whether it's internally or on an agent, whichever way you want to do it.
Fairclough's boom springs out and he projects it onto the wall.
There you go. Walking projector. I love it. Both of you are going to see that apparently there is some form of a fire that has taken place in Biotechnica Flats. And it's contained. The fire has been contained to just 3 or 4 greenhouses. But something about this situation just feels off. I'm not going to say why it feels off, but just something about the fact that Biotechnica Flats has now caught fire. Something's wrong. There's something in your gut is telling you there's something wrong there.
Is there suspected arson?
I think that would require a roll from probably the both of you. I just have to figure out what role it would be. I think this could be a criminology. This could be a deduction. This could even potentially be a science, I think.
I am equal in all those, so let's roll the dice.
Yeah, Fairclough, you may roll as well.
I'll go for deduction.
Well, okay, you both get a 13. You're looking at the fire, and it's not like a normal, put water out fire. I forget the actual class of fire that is.
Like a chemical fire?
Say again?
Like a chemical fire?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm driving towards, that it looks like a chemical fire. This is I think it's like a Class C fire where you can't use normal extinguishers on it or it will blow up. It literally will blow up.
Well, I mean, fertilizers, they can be pretty volatile, right?
This could be a warning. That's a way to tell us that whoever is responsible for this means business. Any other theories?
It is an awfully big coincidence.
There's been a lot of those lately.
I imagine I imagine this is a warning. Either it'll continue to get worse until they finally follow through, or we catch them and stop them.
Did we get a time limit on the demands?
I don't think I gave one last session, but let's introduce one. Yeah, you need it by the end of the week, which gives you 5 days.
She'll can you just kind of forward the footage of the fire to Drake and just kind of go over what they learned? Okay, possibly a warning might be connected to our case, could be arson, not 100% sure. Might want to get in touch with the security teams. I think that would probably be corporate security who handles those fires, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so just maybe get in touch with corporate security and see if you can learn anything. But if corpo security is not being forthcoming, then what are you gonna do?
Yeah, if we're actually go to Drake's office to show her, I imagine she might have a monitor or a big television on the wall, and Fairclough is going to use his little sensor, his little boom, to display the news or whatever onto the television screen, kind of like he just wants to. He's displaying the video onto the television screen rather than the actual television and playing it itself.
I like it.
But he doesn't realize he's doing it.
No, I like it. I like the flavor. And yeah, I think Drake kind of looks at the screen that you're projecting and goes, well, if this is a threat or a reminder that you need to complete the job, message received, I guess. Could also just be happenstance, but given what you've shared with me so far, I'm inclined to believe that we now have proof that this threat is credible, which is not good.
Is this something we should bring up with Biotechnica?
I will start to interface with them, I think.
Yeah, that might be worth looking into. If this threat is credible and they go through with it, that would be catastrophic for both the city and for Biotechnica's reputation. So maybe we can work something out. In the meantime, she'll look over at Fairclough. Shall we continue our interrogations?
I think so.
All right.
So, normally we would go to break here, but over the course of the stream, I've noticed that my graphics card is literally flipping the F out. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to pause halfway through the session. I'm going to try and do a quick few tech things. Either we're going to come back in about 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how long the tech happens, or what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of chop this session up into 2 parts, and we'll finish the session next time. But thank you all for tuning in so far. Hopefully we'll be back in about 10 to 30 minutes, so stick around, and we'll see you hopefully in a bit. All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to session 4.5 of Cyberpunk Red Specters, an actual play that is set in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. My name is ELH, the Game Master, and joining me are 2 lovely individuals, which we are going to meet right now. We have no announcements. We're going to jump right into play, because we got to make up for lost time. So, Annex, introduce yourself, introduce your character, and then we'll go to a zoo, and then we'll move on.
Hey, I'm Zach, and I'm gonna be playing Henry Fairclough, former NCPD officer turned MAXTAC cyborg. After the loss of his family to a Maelstrom attack, he signs up for the MAXTAC squad and underwent augmentation. And now he seeks to enact his vengeance upon the criminals of Night City.
Very good. Azu, what do you got going on?
Hey, I'm Azu. I'm going to be playing Kane, who's a Gemini cyborg who's lost most pleasures in life except the one she gets from fighting.
All right. So normally I would roll the intro video here, but again, 4.5. We got to make up for lost time. So just imagine intro video here. Boom, shiny graphics. It's fun. What we're actually going to do is jump right into play, and I'd like you all to imagine, again, an overhead view of Night City. And we, of course, see the spires of City Center. We see the rundown Pacifica kind of to the south. But to the southwest of Night City, we see rows upon rows upon rows upon rows of greenhouses belonging to Biotechnica. And we zoom into one in particular that has actually just been put out in terms of a fire. So the fire services are still there. There's still kind of people on the scene, emergency services on the scene, as you two arrive in a VTOL, because you're MAXTAC, you arrive in style. So you guys hop out of the VTOL, and what I would say is that the greenhouse is a 2-story affair. The building itself is, box of glass with a kind of a steepled roof, and you could probably fit a good amount of field in here. In fact, if you want me to actually give you a measurement, let's say that there's a quarter of a football field. And by football, I mean American football, not soccer. So, sizable size of a greenhouse here. But obviously some people are like, oh shit, why is MAXTAC here? And they're like giving you this side eye, and some are like shying away. But what would you like to do now that you're on scene at this fire?
First thing I would like to do is Faircloud will speak up on his voice box or whatever, because I imagine he can scale the volume pretty damn loud.
Oh yeah.
And he'll just announce, no, don't be alarmed. We're just here on investigation of possible connection to an ongoing case.
In other words, the do not resist, I'm trying to save you. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So some of them are gonna like even shy away even further, and some of them are even gonna like look to their fellows and like stop fully what they're doing to look at you and be like, sorry, what? And in fact, one of the private firemen, because of course it's Night City, everything's privatized. One of the firemen comes up to you, and you see that he's wearing a logo that's like a Firehouse Dalmatian dog, but it's stylized after the Protect and Serve cartoons we see in 2077. So same style of dog there. But he walks up to you. He's a middle-aged gentleman by the looks of him. Has a bionic, or not really a bionic, but a less obvious cyber left arm. And he's also got on a stereotypical red fireman's hat, if you will. But he walks up to you too. He doesn't seem to be all that perturbed by the fact that 2 full Borg are bearing down on him, even though he's only like 5'2", so I guess he's looking up at the both of you. But he just kind of comes over and he offers out a hand and says, my name is Lieutenant Dan, and might I say, I don't know why MAXTAC is here, but happy to help you with whatever you're here for.
Yeah, it's you can call me Faircloud, and Faircloud will try to shake his hand, but Faircloud's got this big, giant robotic hand, so he might not even be able to like do a proper handshake.
Maybe you could do like the Iron Giant pinky thing, where you just very carefully take the little part of the hand and shake it.
Yeah, well, what he does is he reaches his hand out like this, and then he realizes it's not going to work, and then he kind of awkwardly are like, and then he just does this, and then they
nice
fist bumps back.
There you go. Yeah, this Lieutenant Dan looks to Kane at this point, and then looks back at Faircloud and says, "So, again, if you don't mind me asking, why is MAXTAC here of all things?"
As I said before, we're here under the possible connections to an ongoing cyberpsychosis case.
Oh, cyberpsychosis. Well, in that case, I actually think I have something you're going to want to see. And he motions for you to follow him. And I'd like you to imagine that in between the greenhouses, there's of course like a fire engine, which put out the fire initially, but there's also like these toolboxes that you would see in any mechanic shop. And on one of those toolboxes is kind of a bench where a computer has been set up, and he leads you over to it and says, when we were checking out the scene, checking it out for possible arson, we of course checked the security logs, and well, let the log speak for itself. And he pushes a few buttons, and a security footage of the interior of the greenhouse begins playing. And what you all see is immediately, Kane, you see Delphine Roy, your mother, enter into the greenhouse. Now, by all rights, I mean, you feel free to define otherwise, but if I remember correctly, you haven't seen her in, what is it, 10, 15, 20 years at this point?
Ooh, Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
So what I would say is that spitting image of what you remember her as. So she doesn't have any new cyberware. She doesn't have any new implants. She looks the same as she did before she left you, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so I looked it up. So she's been missing for I think 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Does she seem to have aged at all?
No, and that's the other thing, is that literally the exact way you remember her, 11 years later, same thing.
Let's continue watching.
is
She'll
she-
keep it to herself for now. Oh, go ahead, Fairclough.
What does she look like?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, what does she look like? Because obviously Kane is in a Gemini now, so I'm curious what Delphine Roy looks like.
Let's see. Delphine, I could imagine her being kind of well, how old would she be? I don't think I had it written down. Only how
I
long
always
she's
got
been
the
missing.
impression of like early 20s or maybe mid 20s.
Probably something like that. I think rather than just homing in on physical descriptions, she seems a little extra, I guess is the best word for it. She carries herself, the way she walks, the way she talks, it's very kind of center of the room kind of thing. She has a lot of confidence, maybe a little too much confidence, definitely enough that it kind of rolls over into arrogance. But aside from her kind of manner of behavior and aside from some perhaps a little bit over the top fashion wear that really kind of what's that fashion style in Cyberpunk that's very like the super rich. I'm trying
You're
to
not
remember
thinking
this
of like business exec stuff, are you?
No, it's the thing
No,
is
there's
it's
flashy
supposed to
one.
it's like knockoff fancy
Ooh.
stuff. So
It's
supposed to look like the really high end stuff, but
Mhm.
it's an imitation.
It's the Wish version, the Wish.com
Yeah,
version.
the Wish.com
Yeah.
version. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so it's pretty gaudy. Close inspection would reveal it to be pretty cheap. Underneath, she's a pretty normal-looking woman. She's maybe like 5'4", kind of slightly tanned skin, black hair, pretty unassuming aside from all the cyberware. But yeah, she definitely doesn't look like the type that would go on an arsonist's run solo.
Well, as I said, that's who you see the moment the recording starts. And what you see is Delphine Roy, or someone who looks very much like her, enters into the building, takes a look around, and then reaches into their faux suit, as I'm going to call it, and pulls out what looks to be a block of C4. And she goes over to the center pillar of the greenhouse, affixes the C4, and then kind of steps back, tilts her head to the side, smiles, and then turns and looks directly at the camera. And she stares at the camera for a good minute. Doesn't say anything, doesn't really blink, just very like deer in headlights at the camera. Then she winks, walks out of the shot, and then about 2 minutes later, and of course, you know, the fireman is fast forwarding through the lull, but about 2 minutes later, the C4 activates, but instead of an explosion, it's more of a firebomb. So it doesn't blow up the greenhouse, it just catches all the plants on fire.
Could we download a copy of this video, please?
Of course. In fact, I had it on a shard ready to give to some authority whenever they showed up, so here you go. And Lieutenant Dan holds out the shard for you.
She'll smile and take it. Would you happen to have any footage from outside the building?
I mean, I'm not really, I'm just a contractor. They only pay us to come put out the fires, but I mean, you're MAXTAC. You can get into anything. Or at least that's what the boys tell me.
She'll look over at Fairclough. Well, anything else we need here? That's unusually specific and unusually damning evidence that we've collected.
Well, I mean, we've got pretty much caused the fire here.
Just to check,
Yes.
you are the local firefighter. This is your field. Does the resulting fire seem to? Is there any discrepancies? Does it seem 100% convincing that that block of C4 or whatever was contained within was the start of this fire, or are there any missing pieces you've noticed?
Well, in my professional opinion as a career fireman, what I would tell you is that I am 90% sure that what we saw in the footage is correct. The other 10% is that there was some form of what is called an accelerant involved. So something like gasoline or some way to get the flames really going. But I couldn't find any footage that indicated that this individual, poured gasoline on the plants. We didn't find any containers that exploded or the remnants of such. But a fire like this, it had to also be contained. So there was a lot of thought that went into this, but let me put it this way. If it was your first day on the job, you'd look at a fire like this and think it was a lucky break. 20 years, I know that there's no such thing as a coincidence, especially when it comes to arson.
Is there any where's the Biotechnica representative?
Yeah, so at this point, you do spot the Biotechnica representative. It's a woman in a very opulent-looking white suit, almost literally 3 levels above what Delphine Roy was wearing, so 3 levels up. She has, of course, on pumps that are way too big for her. She walks with the air of, I'm the main character, look at me and pay attention. And she does this annoying, if you'll pardon the term, Karen thing, where once she sees that you're looking around, she goes, oh, excuse me a moment, and walks over to you very, very sternly and goes, I'm sorry, are you MAXTAC? Are you here to deal with the arson of Biotechnica property?
Yes, that is what I announced upon our arrival.
Good, because I thought it was another buffoon who didn't know what he was doing. And she looks very pointedly.
Is gonna look to Kane.
As you do, she looks very pointedly at Lieutenant Dan, and Dan is just staring back at her like, what do you want from me, lady?
Kane will just cross her arms. Is there something we can help you with specifically, ma'am?
Yes, you could tell me why my you could tell me why my greenhouse was attacked. You can tell me why nobody did anything about it and let this criminal run free. I mean, you've seen the video, right? You showed him the video, right? Yes, ma'am, I showed them the video. There you go. So you have the culprit. Obviously, you're going to track them down, right? Are you going to, you're MAXTAC. You're going to book them full force of the law and all that, right?
Yeah, that's what we're working on, is catching them. Now,
good, because I don't care how chromed up you are. If you don't find this person and it happens again, I am going straight to your manager. At this point, Lieutenant Dan is rolling his eyes, but he's trying to slink away. He doesn't want to really be here anymore.
Yeah, right. And so I have a similar question, a question of similar vein for you. How did someone, especially someone as conspicuous as her, a real looker, that one, too, how did she manage to slip past all of your security? You don't, clearly Biotechnica's assets, if they're so important to you, how could you have let this happen?
Well, I'll have you know that somebody disabled our drone security system in this area, and she points up above, not the skyline, but she kind of points up and to the left or to the west. And this was always an oversight that I saw in 2077, so this is a new addition. But if you like to imagine, there's kind of a tower that has a big, almost sea container sized block on top of it. And if you look carefully, because again, you are both full bore, you can zoom in. It's easy. You see that this sea container block is basically a hub where VTOL or hovering drones can be launched out of to patrol, to deal with situations, things of that nature. And she points at it and says, someone disabled that. And it's working now, of course, but somebody disabled it. And let me tell you, our security features at Biotechnica are top-notch. Only Arasaka does better.
When were the drones disabled?
And she calls up a time, and the time would be 5 minutes before the start of the video you were shown.
Do you know where it was disabled from? Which
Well,
access
no,
point?
I'm not a filthy netrunner, so of course I don't know these things.
You know the
Do
person
you-
who would know, though.
Well, yes, I'm looking at 2 of them.
Do you have a filthy netrunner in your employ who discovered this breach for you?
Of course, he has already fixed the issue, but unfortunately he's told me that the logs were irrecoverable, which of course means he's an incompetent buffoon and I will have him docked in his pay, but for the time being, I'm sure you MAXTAC people can handle the situation.
Yes, of course, ma'am. If you wouldn't mind giving us your contact information.
She instantly whips out like a full-on like American Psycho style business card and just hands it to whoever takes it.
That subtle off-white coloring.
Yeah.
All right, Fairclough will reach down and just pluck the little business card from her.
Yeah. The moment it's gone, it says, well, I have reports to file and more people to yell at, so you do your job, I'll do mine. And then unless like one of you physically stops this Karen,
Nope.
she just goes. She goes off to start yelling at somebody else.
That was productive. Faircloud, do you have a feeling we're being fed a line?
I'm not too certain. I don't know about her, but that netrunner could be suspect himself, or it's likely someone within Biotechnica, perhaps, unless it was a remote attack.
ELH, is
Yes.
a remote attack on a facility like this possible?
It is indeed.
Hmm. Let's go, before we
Would-
leave, we might as well talk to this netrunner of hers.
If we can find him. Now, I have a question. This is something that your mother wouldn't have been able to do alone. Certainly.
My mother was a con woman, not a netrunner.
Exactly. So she's got some kind of help. And how do you
Either
get
that,
help for
Or
this?
she's become incredibly
Money.
skilled in several years. But I'm not 100% convinced this even is my mother.
What would be the purpose, though?
It's a good question, and we could stand here theorizing, but I think we lack the evidence to make any even educated guesses right now.
Well, we'll know when we catch him.
Well, let's go see if we can find this netrunner.
All right. So, I'm actually going to have whichever one of you feels the most lucky. I'd like you to roll me a luck, please.
Oh, just a raw luck.
Yep, just a raw luck.
How do you
Do
roll a luck? Is that just?
I believe you should be able to
Okay.
click just the luck on the character sheet, and then it should just roll, and we want to see under your luck for this.
Okay. What do you think, Faircloud? Do you feel lucky?
You do it.
All right. Raw luck.
Okay, so you had, let me actually look at this real quick. So your luck was what exactly?
I have 5.
Okay, you have 5. So you rolled a
Total.
7. So unfortunately, what I'm going to say then is both of you look around, like maybe even split up to like cover more ground, but you do not find the Biotechnica Netrunner on hand, unfortunately. But what I will give you as a sort of a bonus, so that you're not like stonewalled or anything, I will say that you do find a burned out cyber deck that has been thrown into a neighboring greenhouse next to the burned one.
Interesting. A burned out. Now, is this like the 2022 cyber decks where it's like kind of like an arm mount keyboard thing, or is this like a 2077 cyber deck, which is just like a little kind of chip implant?
I'm imagining this is more kind of a fusion of the two, where it would be the red version of a cyber deck, so still kind of that keyboardish Hackerman style thing, but also it's much more condensed. But what I would say is that actually let's make a roll of this. Let's see if either of you has the knowledge of this. Why don't we do?
I can try.
Yeah,
The electronics, maybe?
How do you feel about an education or perhaps a criminology? I think might work here.
Well, I mean, is this, what's the nature? We're examining the cyber deck, right? So wouldn't that be
Yeah.
more a technical thing?
That's a fair point. How is your electronic security tech then?
I'm not rolling.
Fairclaw's actually got some instruments on his, I almost said armor, his body, his frame that can actually help with that.
Excellent.
He's got the tech scanner, I believe, or tech scanner and tool hand.
Okay.
And I know that it gives him a +2 to electronic security, so I could roll that.
Yeah, I say go for it. Oh, look at
Wow.
that. Past me already did the mod for that. Look at me. Good job, past me. All right. Whoa, God, a 9. Yeah, it's a burned out cyber deck. It's one of those things where your tech scanner looks it over, confirms that pretty much everything in it is burned out. But again, I'm going to give you a little bit of something because, again, stonewalling is no fun. You will be able to find a set of what seems to be some form of fabric that I like to imagine if someone was holding this and the deck shorted out and caught fire, that they dropped it, but part of their glove went with it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
Kane's going to do something very weird.
Okay.
He's going to pick up this piece of fabric.
Okay.
Which was presumably in contact with our Netrunner, which he's actually gonna lick it.
Lick it. Okay. Is
And
this
use your
a special
chemical
Gemini
analyzer.
feature, or are you just looking at it for the hell of it?
This is a chemical analyzer. Let's see if I can. So basically, if there's any sort of skin or blood or anything like that on the bottom, she'd be able to kind of get a readout of what it is.
Excellent.
Just when I thought you couldn't get any weirder.
What? You don't have one of these, Fairclough?
I thought we'd really come so far, but
oh Lord. I'll give it to you free. Since you have the chemical analyzer here. Yeah, you actually get a skin sample, all things considered, and you're probably gonna guess who it belongs to. Yeah, it belongs to your mother.
One quick thing. I'm going to use my tech scanner, and I want to scan the get the diagnostics and send that back to the HQ for what's his name, Tubes, to look at.
Tubes in Hell. All right, Tubes in Hell will work on it.
Because while Vericlaw himself, while looking at it, him on his own probably can't tell, but because this is a device and it's giving a specific readout, they could probably read that same scan and get a better clue.
In fact, I think Tube specifically is going to send you back a quick message of bring that back to the station when you get a chance.
Is this like a DNA match?
Yes,
then?
Perfect DNA match, no discrepancies.
Yeah, she's just gonna furrow her brows a little, which is a lot more emotion than she usually shows, and then she'll stand up. Well, I suppose we should take these back to the precinct.
Fairclow's already put the burnt cyber deck in this neat little evidence Ziploc baggie. Yeah, and he's holding it out to her, and he's like, put it in the bag.
She'll put it in the bag.
What?
Nice. Now I have a very important question. Do you just carry it, or is there just a container vessel on one of your arms or legs that just pops open and you put it in there?
He does have a subdermal pocket.
Do I? Do I really?
Do you? I do. I don't know if you do.
I want to say that
that's
Fairclough has to
Gemini
have
thing.
some kind of pocket.
Yeah. He's got his RoboCop
He probably
holster.
has. He's got probably some kind of. I mean, the thing is, if he did have any kind of webbing or whatever for to attach harnesses, harness on pouches and stuff like that, it probably would get destroyed in a real strenuous combat. But yeah, he's got some webbing, a little bit of webbing on that's just primarily attached to his back. That can have little bags and hard cases attached to it. He specifically uses it's basically this really strong looking metal boxes.
Gotcha.
and it's actually practically fastened to him by what's the equivalent of like steel cables rather than actual fabric.
I was
A little
thinking magnets,
overkill
but
for
steel
some
cables
evidence.
works.
Something strong that won't deteriorate if he uses it some. But yeah, he's got a little box.
Because again,
That he brought-
it's going to be very important we know where that sample is, just for reasons that will become apparent very shortly.
I'm gonna blow up.
Rest in peace.
Let me ask this, because at this
Try.
point it sounds like you guys are headed back to the precinct. Yes, no?
To deliver, I think to hand off the evidence probably.
Okay, second question.
Actually,
oh, go ahead.
Fairclough has the evidence, right?
That is my understanding, yes.
Fairclough, you can head back. I think I might stop by some of my mother's old friends just to check in with them quickly. Unless you would like to join me for that.
I'm sure I can just put this on the. I'm sure I can just put this on the AV and I can come with you.
Sure.
We're gonna get our pilot killed. But in character though, he wouldn't think anything of this given the scan. So he's gonna do that. He's gonna put it on the AV and or we're gonna get into the AV and however you take the reins.
Okay. So you guys put the evidence container into the AV. You, of course, I'm trying to remind myself what his name was because I have forgotten. One moment. Right, Casanova, that's his name. So Casanova kind of looks back and says, "Don't worry, I'll get it back to the station just fine." And he kind of, gives you a thumbs up. You step back, pat the side of the VTOL, seals up, lifts up, begins flying back towards the city. But not 2 minutes into the air, both of you hear the sound of an RPG being fired, and the VTOL is hit. Now, it doesn't blow up completely. It's only really the back engine that gets hit, but it obviously, like a helicopter that gets its tail snapped off, the VTOL begins spiraling out of control and crashes into another greenhouse. And of course,
Jesus.
because it's Cyberpunk, Karen is going to shout, "MAXTAC, what the f are you doing? That's another... What are you doing?"
She's not even listening to this woman. Where does the RPG come from? Where did the blast origin point?
Yeah,
So
Fairclough is going to use his optics.
So if I can draw your attention to the current map I've got here in Foundry. Now, of course, it is a little bit weird where it only kind of shows Pacifica, but let me see if there's a good way for me to show this. But if you see here where I've got kind of that green click, to the southwest of that is the rows upon rows of greenhouses. The actual RPG and the actual VTOL crash is right on the edge of Pacifica, so right up coming against where Pacifica ends or starts, depending on your definition.
And did the RPG seem to come from Pacifica?
Yes.
Did we get a read on the building it came from?
You did. It would have been the... Let me check my notes here. It would have been actually one of those ancillary, chain market kind of situations where it's like 3 businesses in a building. Obviously, since it's Pacifica, nobody's actually been in those buildings for years. But if it really matters to you, one used to be a butcher. One used to be a tech of some sort, a med tech, not a ripper doc, but actually like a legit doctor. And then the other one was some form of just, how do I want to say this? Knickknacks, curios. Let's put it that way.
Ha. All right. Is there any transportation nearby that we can we? Fairclough is going to. All right. Is there a
Karen's
fire truck nearby?
Wait. Did Karen arrive on one of those? What are they? They're not VTOLs. They're like the flying. What are the flying called?
I mean, I know what they're. I can see it in my mind, but let's look it up real quick because I think I know where you're going with this. Because you want to steal Karen's car, which I'm all for.
Me never.
Let's take a look here.
I
Let me
mean,
see.
my idea was Fairclough can fit in a fire truck.
Yeah.
I don't know about this vehicle that you're speaking of.
I just
though.
thought it would be funny.
Oh no, you'll take her car. Fairclough will take the fire truck.
What were they called?
Are we thinking? Because I found it on the wiki here. Either they
Aerodynes.
are hovers or aerodynes, is what
They're
I'm
aerodynes,
saying.
I think. Is what they're called. So did she arrive on one, or is she too low on the corporate stepladder to be afforded one?
Let me look at aerodyne. Oh yeah. This is a flying car. This is not a VTOL. So yeah, she came in on an AV, an aerodyne, and in fact, her golden aerodyne is kind of sitting on the outskirts of the Biotechnica Flats.
Golden. Eesh.
Well, she had to have a parachute of some kind.
True. Before she does anything, Kane's gonna try to contact Casanova. Casanova, come in. You read.
And you hear just kind of statics, and you can hear him groan in pain and says, all right, I think my leg might be broken. Oh yeah, good, great, my arm ain't working either, but got the evidence still, kept it safe with me. Oh god, it hurts. It
Are there
hurts
any
so
hostiles
much.
closing in on you?
I mean, I see some movement outside of the VTOL, but they're not trying to break in or anything.
At this point, Fairclough, assuming there is a fire truck, Fairclough is gonna order Lieutenant Dan to drive the fire truck as quick as he can towards the crash site.
Yeah, Lieutenant, you can actually see that the firefighters, even though they're contracted, like they're getting ready to drive over there anyway, but as you kind of run up to Lieutenant Dan, he looks you up and down and goes, you realize you're going to have to ride on top, right?
Oh, I know. And Fairclough is already he's gonna pull himself up. You think this can carry me?
I mean, we carry how many gallons of water, and we just use it on the greenhouse, so I think so, yes.
All right. Saddle up.
All right. So, Kane, do you want to go with Fairclough, or do you really want to steal that AV?
She was very tempted. She'll go with
The
Fairclough
thing
now.
is,
Okay.
Fairclough could be going after the crash site. Because from where the rocket was fired is probably much further away from where the crash site is. So you could go to where the rocket was fired from.
Oh, right, because he's
in
going to
no
the crash
time.
site.
Your call.
ELH. Okay,
Yes.
this is important because Kane can't fly. If she get, so do AVs have
She's got a chauffeur.
an automated? Yeah, is it like an automated chauffeur? And if so, would MAXTAC clearance be able to override that?
Well, it just so happens that it's a Delamain.
It's a Delamain, is it?
Mm-hmm. Which, of course, means that, yeah, if you flax your MAXTAC, Delamain is hard-coded to allow free passage for MAXTAC and other members of the Force, so...
All right, fuck it, let's go.
All right.
She's taking Karen's ride.
All right, so I want to paint the scene. So Fairclough, sirens begin blazing, and you ride off on like crowd surfing the top of this fire truck as it goes towards the crash site. Kane, you run over to the AV, open it up, hop inside, and Karen notices you as it's lifting off, and she chases, starts running at you as you're lifting it and goes, "What are you doing? No, don't you! That's my AV! You son of a!" And
She'll give her a wink.
She flips you double birds as you fly towards where the RPG came from, question mark?
Yes.
Okay. So let's deal with Fairclough first, then we'll come to Kane. So Fairclough, when you arrive on the site, the VTOL has taken out 3 greenhouses. Totally irrecoverable, plants are gone, everything's burnable. But you do see that there aren't really so much people maneuvering around, but there are these security drones, which I mentioned earlier, where they are just sort of hovering around the crashed vehicle. They're not really don't seem to know what to do with it quite yet. But these are the Biotechnica drones, not like attack drones from something else.
Okay. They got weapons on them?
Yes. In fact, 3 of them have what appear to be light machine guns that are slung underneath.
All right, how many is there? You said there's about how many?
3 to 5.
3 to 5? Okay, Fairclough is going to. He's going to instinctively, he's not intentionally. He's going to tap on the fire truck as kind of like, hey, slow down.
Okay.
He might maybe even denting or scratching it in the process, not realizing how strong he is.
Mhm.
And as the fire truck is coming to a stop, he's going to leap from it, and he's going to say to the fireman, keep to a safe distance. I'm gonna deal with these drones. Gonna get my man out.
All right. So, how do I want to handle this? Let me ask this.
Yeah,
As you jump out towards the drones and towards the crash site, is your intention to land on a drone? Is your intention to do like a punch flyby, or are you just landing in the area?
Oh no, Fairclough is doing this well before they're even within, range of the, like, probably like 100, maybe 150 meters, because he doesn't want the firemen to be in the line of fire.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In the line of fire, get
Do
it?
we know if these drones are going to engage us?
That's what we're figuring out.
Yeah.
Fairclough is gonna talk to Radio Hell and ask her,
What's up?
what's the quickest way to deal with these things?
So Hell gets back to you very quickly and says, well, they're biotechnica. They're not really security-minded, except for, oh, right, you're at the greenhouses. Shit. My advice, walk slowly, don't show any weapons. Oh, shit, your body's a weapon. I would tell you to smile, but you don't even have a mouth, so that's not going to work.
I gotta get Casanova out. I'm just gonna do this my own way. And Fairclough is going to, his grenade launcher on his shoulder, the cowboy, goes, and he sets it to airburst so that the grenades will explode in the air. And he's just going to fire 2 grenades, and they're gonna he's gonna try and catch however many drones he can in the blast.
All right, well, very important roll about to happen here. Let's take a look here. So a grenade launcher at that grenade at words hard at that distance. I think the roll is 25. I think is the DV. 22. 22 is the DV because you're only at 100 to 200. And
okay.
I believe you fire with. I believe it's a heavy weapon. Am I misremembering?
I think it's heavy. I think it's heavy weapons.
Oh, I think if you just click the grenade launcher on your sheet, it'll automatically roll, but we'll find out together.
Okay. I might not have updated what ammunition this is in, so I click fist. Okay, now the question is, do I want to spin luck? Oh, I just clicked.
Oh, that's what it is. It's the fist to roll an attack, and it's the blood symbol to roll damage. That's how it works.
All right, I'm just gonna go for it.
Okay. In 18.
Okay, 2.
All right, so you do have the option of adding luck to this, but you kind of have to do it at double the cost because you're supposed to be adding luck at the beginning of the roll. So let me ask this. Do you have 8? No, you have 5 luck if I'm remembering correctly.
Here's the second shot.
Okay. That actually will cover for the first, because that is a crit. That is amazing. That is amazing. So, the first grenade, foom, 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 flies past the drones, poof, in the air, doesn't hit anything. In fact, all it does is send shrapnel into the greenhouses below, breaking windows and glass and everything else. The second grenade, on the other hand, goes foom, 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 whoosh, and takes out all the drones at once.
Nice job.
I could care less about Biotechnica and their damages. I gotta get our guy out. I holding up Casanova and Fairclough is basically, he's gonna be on the wreck now, like trying to help
wrenching
him out.
it free and all that. Yeah, because time is a factor here. Can you give me a? Let's call this an athletics. Well, no, this is more of a. I guess this is more of a body, but I'm trying to remember what skill would even work for this. Because what I'm trying to
body.
Well, what I'm trying to do is give you a skill that's body based, but I don't think there is anything that's body based. Is there? I don't think there is. At least I don't remember. Like, I'm looking at the sheet now. I don't think there's like a straight body skill.
Yeah, well,
I think athletics is as close as you get.
the thing is about oh yeah, I guess you're right. Well, body is kind of just like affects the magnitude of what you can do with athletics, because athletics is dexterity. It's your applied finesse and like, you know, physical condition, whereas body is what you're physically like capable of. So obviously, even if you do have really good athletics and dexterity, you're a good athlete, you can't lift 2 tons. You can't lift a car unless you're physically have the body stat.
Right. We're on the same page. I'm just trying to think here because I think your body's the better mover. Let's just do this. Go ahead and roll athletics, and if it's a shitty roll, we'll deal with it.
I mean, they're both 16.
Oh, well, there you
like
go.
My body and my athletics, so it kind of works out.
All right, a 19.
I was gonna say, Casanova, you mind? Fuck it. And he's going to. How am I getting to him? Am I going through the like ripping the back door open, or am I just going straight through like the windshield?
I was imagining you were going right through the cockpit window. And like, since you rolled a 19 because the DV was only going to be an 18, you actually do kind of like. This is gonna be an American reference for sure. But you ever see those safe flight repair like commercials where they like show up and like do like suction cups onto the window and then replace it, kind of a thing, if you have any car damage? You instead punch through the glass, splay out your fingers so you have a hook, then wrench it back and then toss the ruined windshield aside. And then you see Casanova, his left leg is broken for sure. His left arm is bloodied and gashed and definitely looks like it's gonna need some help. But he is cradling that cyber deck that you handed him earlier. And he looks up at you and goes, "Oh man, am I glad to see you. Where the hell is Kane?"
She's on our way towards where the Rocketeer fired at you. Sorry what I had to do to your AV.
It's totaled and we can get a new one anyway, but don't tell me she's in that AV over there. And he points and you see the golden AV flying in the distance.
Don't worry, that's a Delamain. I mean, you know, it's premium shit. I'm surely she'll be, and I'm guessing as he's saying this, another rocket's
another rocket
towards
is coming. So yeah, Kane, at this point, you do have the option, because I believe you have the appropriate reflex and dex to do this. If you want to override Delamain, we can say the DV is probably going to be your evasion here. Or if you want Delamain to have it, I will just set it at a static DV. It's your call.
Let's evasion it.
Okay, go ahead and roll evasion so I know what I'm rolling against.
Okay. Let's add 2 luck to this.
2 luck? Okay.
Oops. There we go.
Okay, a 20 is what I have to beat. Well, let's see how well this person does on their shot. I mean, should be okay. I think they have to legitimately crit in order to beat that, which they did not. So what happens is Delamain begins, signing, saying, "Warning, warning, incoming projectile." And you instinctively, lunge for the controls, grab them and wrench the vehicle to the side, just in time for an RPG to fly right over, just almost inches clearance over the top of the AV.
Was this from the roof or was this from a window?
This was from the roof. And now that you're getting close enough to see the roof, I don't want to have this. Go ahead and roll me a straight perception here.
Okay. Does her zoom give
yeah.
her any bonus on this here?
Yeah, go ahead and give yourself a +2 if it doesn't already give you one.
All right. There is perception.
Should be under awareness skills, I believe.
Yeah, I see it.
16. So you're going to see something strange. You're going to see your mother. And then your mother. And then your mother. There's 3 of them up there on the roof.
There's 3 mothers.
Yeah. And each of them has a RPG in hand. Now, 2 of them look like their RPGs are spent, but the third one still has her shot. But it is technically your turn at this juncture.
How far?
I would say let's do 250 meters.
250 meters?
Jump.
How long would it take
Jump.
this car to make it
Jump.
to the roof if she stepped on it?
Ooh, I think there's a chart for this. Hold on. Let us say it can
Actually,
get
yeah,
there
should be
in
a
a
move.
turn, but that would be the whole turn.
Hey.
Hey.
You've got that grapple.
Yeah, I
Right?
think the
So
grapple's
what's the
only-
range on that?
Let's see.
How far can you fire that grapple of yours?
Grapple hand is, I think it's 30 meters.
Sounds right.
Let's see. Yes,
Yeah.
30 meters.
You said Kane doesn't know how to fly, but does she know how to fly? You catch my drift?
Because what I think she might do is just calmly tell Delamain to enter assault mode, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Then just absolutely just step on it, loosen the door, open the door up. That way, when the rocket hits, she can jump out, and hopefully she'll be close enough by then.
Okay. So, we're going to handle this in a very cool way because I want to give you a very cool moment here. Go ahead and roll your athletics, and this is definitely an athletics for this one, to see your trajectory. God, I can do English today. Your trajectory out of the vehicle, if that makes any sense. This is basically your evasion. Well, maybe your evasion. Evasion or athletics. I'll let you do either in this instant to represent you getting through the air without getting hit by the RPG.
Okay. I'd rather not splatter on the ground, so I think I'm going to spend the rest of my luck.
Okay. Yeah, more than sufficient. So, I'm going to give you an option here. You can either let the RPG pass harmlessly by you and detonate on the AV behind you, or if you want to risk potentially missing your grapple line, as in you would have to roll for it rather than just rule of cool, I will let you use your grapple to grab the projectile and throw it back at them.
You gotta do it.
Let's, as cool as that would be, I think she's going to play it safe for now because she doesn't necessarily know if she wants to obliterate them yet.
Fair. You know what? Fair. Don't worry, we'll have more cool moments for both of you, all the same. So, again, you fly out of the AV, you drop down, you grapple to the roof, make it no problem. Behind you, the Delamain AV completely detonates. Karen, you hear screaming in the distance. What did you do? Oh my god!
Yeah, she has quite the set of lungs on her, doesn't she?
Yeah. Must be cybernetic lungs. She,
Or
But,
it's Biotechnica's enhanced lungs. They have the biomods.
There you go. It's
She probably
canon
gets
now.
a discount, employee discount.
There you go. But as you land and you look at 3 Delphine Roys, that's where we're going to take our 5 to 10 minute break. We'll be back very shortly, everybody. Stick around.
All right.
All right, and welcome back. So, if you're just joining us, well, apparently Delphine Roy has the ability to multiply. That or something far more nefarious is going on, because Kane has arrived on the roof of a Pacifica building where 3 Delphine Roys are holding spent RPG tubes and are now going to pull out, or at least attempting to go for some form of weapon in their faux suits, as it were. But technically it is still Kane's turn. What would you like to do, say, whatever at this juncture?
First thing she's going to do is switch to IR vision.
Okay.
Do these seem to be organic or synthetic?
How do I want to answer this? I will say that they look like a standard fusion of a standard human mixed with standard cyberware. So they're not like fully artificial.
Okay. So they're not like robots with stuff. They're probably just body sculpted or something like that.
I
It's
cannot
about
comment.
what you get from it's either humans or a very convincing cyborg like a Gemini.
Mhm.
What's on the roof here, and how far away is she from them?
All right. I don't really have a map for this because I wasn't sure if you guys were going to need it. But if you'd like to imagine, you're on kind of the southernmost ledge. There is maybe about 20 meters of play before you reach the other side. It's a very narrow building. But the 3 Delphine Roys are kind of center mass or center stage. To the upper left, again, kind of assuming an overhead view of this. To the upper left is a staircase that leads down. A large HVAC unit, because we love those in this game. A large HVAC unit is off to your right. And then there's kind of like what could have been some form of like a rooftop garden off to your immediate left. But that's what you see at the current moment.
Okay. And what's the distance between myself and them?
I would say within probably about 9 to 15.
9 to 15 meters?
Yes.
Okay. Let's...
Actually, let me put it in a range that actually makes sense. 7 to 12.
7 to 12. Okay. Let's rush the closest.
Okay.
She's going
What
to
is your
get on
intention?
her...
To damage, knock out, grapple?
I think probably her intention is to disarm if necessary, and if not necessary, to grapple.
Okay.
While she's doing that, she's just going to calmly get on her comms with... I don't know, do they have a direct comm with Faircloud? Does their team have a comm? Is it like MAXTAC wide? How does this work?
You've got a private channel to your buddy, Faircloud. That's two-way. You've got a channel back to MAXTAC HQ to talk to the whole team there. And if you ever really need it, you have the authority to get on like full NCPD broadcast level if you need it.
Okay. She'll get on the comm for their team. So themselves in support, and simply just say 3 contacts on the roof as she's running over.
Okay. All right, so since you are attempting a grapple and a disarm, I'm going to treat this like a brawl. So go ahead and roll me some brawling here.
Sure.
All right, a 19. Let me see. Delphine Roy, what do you have? Oh, boy, you have that. All right, well, yeah, that might be interesting. Oh, yes, that's really interesting. All right, so you go rushing, almost superhuman, because, again, full board. Superhuman, you rush forward and attempt to grab the arm going for a weapon and twist it aside and prevent them from doing so. But the Delphine Roy clone, Biosculpt, Gemini, again, you don't know yet, they are able to gracefully sidestep you and bring up a revolver. And on their turn, they are going to fire point blank. So let's see what happens. Let's see, you have... Actually, you have a pretty shit firearm skill, but you only need a 13. Nope, no, yeah, there you go. With a 20, yeah, so it's kind of one of those Matrix dodge situations where the gun comes up, you dodge, like, backwards, and the shot goes right over your head.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that would be the end of their turn then?
Yes. Now the other two Delphine Roys, are not going to say anything, but they are going to begin running for the staircases down.
Mm-hmm.
And then new round, Faircloud, you arrive at the end of this one because you're coming over from the wreck, so you're going to arrive at the end of this round. It is now your turn again, Kane. You are somewhat engaged in melee with this Delphine Roy. But again, just remember they have a revolver on hand. And another thing I should qualify real quick is that when the revolver discharged, there was a hum as if some form of EM ammo was in effect here.
Gotcha. All right. The two they're running to the staircase, right?
Yes.
And how far away is the staircase?
From where you are currently, I would say another 7 meters.
How wide is it?
Enough that it only fits one person at a time.
All right. She has enough move. She's just gonna charge past them.
Okay.
Block off the entrance, and then she's gonna draw the weapon that she has not once pulled out of its holster. She's gonna pull out her magnum opus Hellbringer.
All right. Finally, we see it.
Yes, and she's gonna take a shot at the mom with the gun.
Mom with the gun. Got it. So I believe your DV here is a 15.
Okay. See how we do.
Unless you want to do a called shot. You want to do a called shot, or you would just want to go for...
Let's just do a normal one.
Normal? Okay.
I like the weapons on my bullet to do that. What do you mean? Let's see.
Yeah, if you need to give yourself bullets, go ahead. The compendium feature's a little bit finicky sometimes.
Okay. Where do I actually add ammo to my weapon?
I think what you do is you go to the compendium packs. At least I think you guys can see compendium packs. Mm-hmm. If you can't, let me know. But you should be able to just go over to gear, or there might actually even be an ammo table somewhere. Yeah, there's an ammo table. Right. In fact, maybe I can just do it while I'm here. What type of ammo are you trying to use?
They're just I have basic very heavy pistol ammo. It's just not loaded into the gun, it seems.
Bottom left to the right of rate of fire, there'll be 2 arrows like pointing opposite directions. Click that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so let's take the shot.
All right, 60. Yeah, you get it. So, all right, go ahead and roll me some damage. They have this much DV. All right. 12. Now, is there anything special about the Hellbringer?
Let's see. I think the only special thing about it is that it's a beast, but if you don't have enough body, it'll jam up.
Okay.
So it's hard to use.
Yeah, again, you're full board, you have the body, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, Fairclough, you even hear the resounding blast from this Hellbringer as the slug slams into the Delphine Roy. And with that much DV that she has, she actually is going to fall over. Now, she's not dead. She's kind of just writhing in pain on the ground, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
They're unarmored.
Yeah. They are apparently unarmored. But yeah, I think that's your turn. So the other 2 Delphine Roys that are going for what is now a blocked staircase, they're going to pull out their own revolvers with EM ammunition. And go ahead and roll evasion. I think go ahead and roll evasion just in case you roll a 1 really badly. But I think oh my, okay, even with that you're fine. Even with that you're fine. And then the second one, oh my god, that is a critical you know what? Okay, so here's what happens. First Delphine Roy comes up, fires, you just sort of sidestep, bullet flies past you, impacts harmlessly in the stairwell. Second one pulls out their gun, but does it so zealously that they lose their grip and the revolver goes sailing over the side of the building.
Whoops.
Wait, so who's in the stairwell?
Currently the one blocking is Kane. And at this point, Fairclough, you look up at the building and a revolver falls and hits you on the head. And it is now your turn.
Bonk.
The hell? And then he's going to. I'm assuming there's like a pipe or something. He's going to. Actually, no. How tall is the building? Can he jump up it?
It's about 3 stories, but I would say you probably can make 3 stories easy. I want to say that Dragoon can make that high. I want to say it can.
Okay, here, we'll put it like this. If there's
There are windows. If you want to, like, window hop up there, maybe?
This building. I don't think this building could handle Fairclough's full cowl. How did he get up there? Is there any building nearby that looks, or structure nearby that looks strong enough to support him?
Well, it is
Maybe
Pacifica.
a water tower?
Yeah, water tower might work. Yeah, let's say there's a water tower to the next to the building.
All right, yeah. Instead of climbing up the little human-sized ladder, Fairclough is going to grab the pillar, like the big, like stabilizing leg, and he's going to start climbing up it really quickly.
I just have the mental image of this dragoon shimmying up the water tower. It's great. All right. I'm mostly just going to have you roll for giggles. I think even if you completely fail, you're still going to get up there. But go ahead and roll me an athletics here. I think...
Do I destroy it in the process?
Yeah. Oh, my God. All right. So not only do you get up this thing, up to the top of the water tower, but you do it with grace and pose. In fact, if you look past the two Delphine Roys, you see Fairclough kind of finishing shimmying up, and then I'm going to give it to you since you critted. If you want to make the jump over to the building, you can do so without any further roll required.
All right, yeah, he's going to Fairclough. He reaches the top, and he looks over his shoulder, and I'm assuming this is and then he just pushes off. And he's actually coming. Is this tower up above, like looking down even a little bit?
It can be.
I want to fucking elbow drop
one of them.
One of the Delphines.
Okay. Well, technically this is a brawling, so go ahead and roll brawling. I don't think they're gonna get it, but I'll roll it anyway. Oh my lord. Yeah, you easily with a 22. Because I'm trying to think here. If you are elbow dropping them, is that 2d6 or is that... Because I feel like you as a cyborg have different damage values. Hold on.
Well, this is more of like being hit by a vehicle than an actual attack, I imagine.
Right.
He's
I'm just
falling.
determining whether they even have a skull after this elbow drop. No, I'm going to say no. So you land on a Delphine Roy, and you don't so much flatten them as when you stand up, there is just tomato paste everywhere. But Kane,
Fairclough stands back up, and then he looks at himself, and then looks to Kane, and then looks back at himself, and he's just like, "Oh fuck."
Mm-hmm. But Kane, it is technically now your turn in the initiative order. There again is a Delphine Roy cradling their side, bleeding out on the roof, and then there's one more that threw their revolver over the side of the building, so they presumably don't have any other weapons.
All right. She's gonna point the Hellbringer at her after Fairclough's arrival.
Okay.
And just suggest maybe today's not the day to die.
I could see this being a persuasion. I could see this potentially even being some form of, where is it? Even bribery, but I think your persuasion is much higher than your bribery.
Persuasion.
Bribery would be if like you're offering them something.
Not dying.
Yeah, their life.
This is not you know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, what do we see? 21? 21 is more than sufficient that the Delphine Roy does just very slowly hold up their hands. And for the first time in 11 years, you hear your mother's voice. And she says, "There's a lot more going on here than you understand." And that's what we're going to call the session. Because again, this was only supposed to be 4.5, not a full 5. Because I want us to have a little bit of a cliffhanger as well.
All right.
So, real quick. So anybody watching this on YouTube, this is actually the end of the episode. I'm going to, as you probably saw about halfway through, I did a little bit of chopping to meld this with 4. So this is the actual end. So YouTube will see you probably in 2 weeks for the Cyberpunk Red group. But Twitch, stick around because we're going to race it. But YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.